Don't let Victor back into the lakehouse. The urn slipped from Teresa Voss's hands and shattered against the church steps. Because the man who said it was a stranger, and the heartbeat thundering inside his chest had belonged to her dead daughter. If stories like this get under your skin, subscribe, like the video, and stay with me until the end. Because what happened after that whisper didn't just ruin a funeral. It brought a dead woman back into the room, one memory at a time. Noah Hale hadn't meant to go to the funeral. For 3 weeks after the transplant, he barely meant to go anywhere. He moved like someone wearing a body he hadn't broken in yet. Every morning started with pills lined up on his kitchen counter. Anti-rejection meds, steroids, blood pressure tablets, a white bottle to keep the nausea down, a yellow one to help him sleep, though sleep had become its own punishment. Because whenever Noah closed his eyes, he saw things he had never lived. A woman laughing with rain in her hair. A chipped blue mug with a crack shaped like a lightning bolt. A little girl in red rain boots spinning on a dock. And every time he woke up, his new heart would be pounding so hard it felt less like survival and more like a message. At first, he told no one. Not his cardiologist, not his best friend Marcus, who still checked on him twice a day like Noah might vanish if left alone too long. Not even himself, if he could help it. He just wrote things down. Blue mug, dock, rain boots. The name Victor, though he had no idea why that one made his hands shake. One night, Marcus found the notebook on the couch and flipped through it. "What is this?" Noah snatched it back. "Nothing." Nothing doesn't usually come with sweat marks and 3 pages that just say, "Don't go in the water." Noah looked away. Marcus sat down slower then. "You're scaring me, man." Noah gave a laugh that didn't sound human. "Good. I'm terrifying myself." He wanted it to be medicine side effects, stress, post-surgery delirium, survivor's guilt, anything with a medical explanation and a dosage adjustment. But then the cravings started. Noah had hated peaches his entire life. After the transplant, he bought 6 and ate them standing over the sink like he'd been starving for them. He started taking his coffee with cinnamon, even though the smell had always made him nauseous before. He found himself humming a piano melody he didn't know how to play. Once, at a grocery store, he froze in the flower aisle and burst into tears over marigolds. A cashier asked if he needed help. Noah could only stare at the orange petals and whisper, "She planted these by the mailbox." The cashier took one careful step back. That was the day Noah finally searched the local news. Woman dead. Lake accident. Fiancé survived. He didn't know why he clicked. He saw her face and forgot how to breathe. Elena Voss, 29, elementary school music teacher, died when her car veered off a private road near Blackwater Lake during a storm. The article called it tragic, senseless, a community loss. There was a photo of her smiling beside a man in an expensive coat with a practiced, grieving expression. Victor Dane. The moment Noah read the name, something hot and violent flashed behind his eyes. Not an image, a feeling. Fear so raw it felt inherited. He knocked his chair over trying to stand. Marcus rushed in from the kitchen. "What happened?" Noah pointed at the screen with a trembling hand. "I know her." Marcus stared. "No, you don't." "No." Noah swallowed hard. "I don't, but something in me does." Marcus should have laughed. Instead, he didn't. Because Noah looked like a man who had just recognized his own killer. The hospital wouldn't confirm anything, of course. Privacy laws, donor confidentiality. All they would say was that psychological adjustment after transplant could be complex and he should consider counseling. Counseling. Like therapy could explain why he now knew the exact number of steps on a porch he had never seen. Like grief groups could explain why the smell of gasoline made him hear a woman whisper, "Not tonight." Noah tried to ignore it. For 4 whole days, he tried. Then he woke up at 3:14 in the morning with the words in his mouth before he was fully conscious. "Don't let Victor back into the lakehouse." He said them out loud. And somewhere in that sentence was certainty. Not suspicion, not imagination. Certainty. By noon, he was standing outside St. Anne's Chapel, where Elena Voss's memorial service had just ended. He hadn't planned what to say. He only knew that if he walked away, something inside him would never be quiet again. Mourners drifted down the stone steps in black coats and soft voices. Noah saw Victor first. Tall, clean-shaven. Handsome in the soulless way certain men learn to be. He had one arm around an older woman Noah recognized from the obituary as Teresa Voss, Elena's mother. Victor was comforting her too smoothly, like he'd practiced. Then Teresa looked up. And for one impossible second, Noah saw recognition flood her face. Not because she knew him. Because he had Elena's eyes right then. Not literally. Something worse. The same flinch. The same alertness. The same half-step backward when Victor moved too close. Noah heard himself speak. "Don't let Victor back into the lakehouse." Teresa dropped the urn. People screamed. Ash scattered across the wet steps like pale dust. Victor's head snapped toward Noah, and whatever expression he'd been wearing for the crowd vanished so fast it made Noah's skin crawl. "How do you know about that?" Teresa whispered. Noah didn't answer fast enough. Victor did. "He doesn't." His voice was calm, but his jaw had turned to stone. "This is sick. Whoever you are, leave." Noah should have left. Instead, he looked straight at Teresa and said the one thing he didn't know he remembered until it came out. She hid the spare key in the green planter because she didn't trust him. The silence after that was so complete, Noah could hear rain tapping the chapel roof. Teresa went white. Victor stepped forward. "Enough." Noah's heart slammed once, hard. And suddenly, he saw it. A narrow hallway, wet footprints. Elena backing away, one hand over her mouth. Victor's voice low and venomous. A ring hitting the floor. Then it was gone. Noah staggered. Victor reached him first, not to help, but to hiss into his ear. "You have no idea what you're touching." Noah looked up into his face and knew, with a certainty deeper than reason, that Elena hadn't died by accident. Teresa called him that night. Noah almost didn't answer. When he did, neither of them spoke for several seconds. Finally, she said, "My daughter hated green planters." Noah closed his eyes. Teresa's voice cracked. "She used that one because Victor bought it and she thought it looked pretentious. She told me that in our kitchen, laughing. No one else heard her. Not even Ruby." Ruby was Elena's younger sister, 18. Started college the week Elena died. Teresa inhaled shakily. "Who are you?" "Noah Hale." "That's not what I mean." Noah sat down on the floor because his knees wouldn't hold him. "I don't know." He expected her to hang up. Instead, she asked, very quietly, "Did my daughter save your life?" His hand moved to his chest. Yes. A sound came through the phone that didn't belong in language. It was too broken to be a sob and too relieved to be pain alone. The next day, Teresa asked him to come over. Marcus nearly tackled him at the door. "You are not going into some grieving family's house because of transplant visions." "They asked me." "That makes it better?" Noah grabbed his keys. "I need to know if I'm insane." Marcus followed him to the car. "And if you're not?" Noah looked at him. "Then a dead woman is trying to tell me something before the man who killed her realizes she still can." Teresa's house smelled like cinnamon and old paper. Noah froze in the entryway. He knew the coat rack, knew the scratch on the left wall where a bicycle handle had once scraped the paint. Knew, before Teresa spoke, that there was a piano in the back room with one sticky key. When he touched the bench, his fingers trembled. Teresa watched him like he was both miracle and threat. Ruby came in wearing an oversized sweatshirt and swollen eyes. She took one look at Noah and folded her arms. "This is insane." "I know," Noah said. "You think you remember my sister's life because of her heart?" "No," Noah said quietly. "I know how that sounds. I think something is wrong. I also think your sister was scared of Victor, and I can't explain why I know that." Ruby's face hardened. "Everyone thinks that now, because it makes a better story than a crash." Teresa turned. "Ruby." "No, Mom. We buried her yesterday, and now some man walks in with her heartbeat, and suddenly we're supposed to believe what? Ghosts?" Noah didn't blame her. He would have said worse. Then Teresa did something that took the air out of the room. She handed Noah a stethoscope. It was old, the rubber slightly yellowed. "Elena bought this for me after my surgery," Teresa said. "I was afraid all the time. She used to let me listen to her chest when I panicked. She'd say, 'See? Still here.'" Ruby looked horrified. "Mom!" Teresa's eyes never left Noah. "May I?" Noah couldn't speak. He just nodded. When she pressed the stethoscope to his chest, her entire body went still. Then she broke. Not elegantly, not in movie tears. She folded over with one hand covering her mouth, making these raw, helpless sounds as if grief had reached in and torn a seam open again. Ruby started crying too. Noah sat there and let a mother listen to the last living room where her daughter still made sound. That was the moment he stopped thinking of himself as haunted and started thinking of Elena as unfinished. They went to Blackwater Lake 2 days later. Victor had already changed the locks. Of course he had. The lake house sat at the end of a winding private road lined with birch trees. Gray water, gray sky, gray wood siding. The kind of place wealthy people called peaceful and everyone else called lonely. Teresa said Victor claimed he couldn't bear to come back after the accident. Yet here he was, making sure no one else could either. Ruby stood on the porch, shivering. "This feels wrong." Noah was staring at the green planter. Third from the left. Chipped rim. Dead herbs. He reached down into the soil. His fingers closed around cold metal. Ruby stepped back so fast she hit the railing. Teresa looked like she might faint. The key slid into Noah's palm, dirty and undeniable. "No," Ruby whispered. "No, no way." Noah's pulse kicked hard again. And for 1 second, he felt her. Elena. Not as a ghost, as panic, as urgency, as if every second mattered. Inside, the house was spotless in the way crime scenes become when someone has cleaned too carefully. Victor had missed one thing: the sticky note hidden beneath the lowest piano pedal in the den. Not a confession, not a dramatic clue, just 3 words in Elena's handwriting. If he lies. And underneath that, a tiny arrow. They followed it to the bookshelf. Behind a row of travel guides, taped to the back panel, was a storage key. Not for the house, for a safety deposit locker. Teresa covered her mouth. My God. Ruby stared at the note. She knew. Noah looked at the lake through the window and felt cold slide into his bones. No, Elena hadn't just known. She had prepared. The locker held a burner phone, an ultrasound photo, and a sealed envelope addressed to Mom and Ruby if anything happens to me. Ruby made a choking sound when she saw the ultrasound. Teresa sat down so hard the chair scraped. She was pregnant? Noah felt the room tilt. The article had never mentioned that. Victor had never mentioned that. And suddenly, the memory came back stronger, clearer, sharper than before. Elena in the car. Rain smashing the windshield. Victor driving too fast, her hand over her stomach. You're not taking this from me. The envelope shook in Teresa's hands as she opened it. Inside was a handwritten letter. Victor had become violent 6 months earlier. It started small: broken plate, bruised wrist, apology flowers. Then money problems, threats, rage. Elena had discovered he was using her name and school charity accounts to hide illegal transfers. When she told him she was leaving and that she was pregnant, he cried, begged, promised change. She didn't believe him. If you're reading this, she wrote, then he either found out I was documenting him, or I waited too long to leave. Ruby was sobbing openly now. Why didn't she tell me? Teresa's voice split. Because she was protecting you. The burner phone had photos. Bruises hidden beneath sleeves. Bank transfer screenshots. One audio recording so short it almost didn't matter. Until Noah pressed play. Victor's voice filled the locker room. If you walk out with that baby, I will destroy everything your family has left. Then Elena, breathless but steady, you can destroy my name if you want. You don't get my child. The recording ended. For a second, nobody moved. Then Noah whispered, "This is enough." But it wasn't. Not yet. Because when they took everything to the police, the detective listened, frowned, and said the words powerful men have always depended on. This complicates things. Complicates. Like Elena being terrorized, pregnant, and dead was paperwork. Victor had lawyers within hours. He called the evidence manipulated, claimed Elena had been emotionally unstable after learning about the pregnancy, suggested Noah was a disturbed transplant recipient seeking attention, suggested Teresa, in grief, was vulnerable to delusion. The local news ate it up. A clip of Noah leaving the precinct started circulating online with the caption, "Heart recipient exploits donor family." Marcus found him sitting in the dark with 1,000 comments open on his phone. "You need to stop reading those. They're calling her crazy," Noah said. Marcus took the phone away. "Then stop handing strangers knives." Noah laughed bitterly. "You still think I imagined this?" Marcus looked at him for a long second. "I think something impossible happened to you. I also think impossible doesn't hold up in court. That landed because it was true. Truth wasn't enough. They needed proof Victor had murdered her, not abused her, not threatened her, killed her. And that's when Noah started remembering the bridge. He hadn't seen it in articles, not in photos either. An old maintenance bridge behind the lakehouse, half collapsed, leading to a generator shed by the waterline. Every dream pulled him there. Every time he woke, his palms were scraped from clenching the sheets. He went alone the first time. Bad idea. The planks groaned beneath him. Wind pushed at the railings. The lake below was black, restless, hungry. The generator shed door stuck, then opened. Inside there was almost nothing. A metal cabinet, tool hooks, an emergency roadside kit. And on the concrete floor, beneath an old tarp, a gouge mark Noah knew before he understood. He dropped to one knee. A ring. Not Elena's engagement ring. A man's cufflink shaped like a silver wolf head. Victor had been wearing wolf cufflinks in the memorial photo. Noah's breath turned ragged. Then headlights hit the shed. He spun around. Victor stood in the doorway, rain behind him, face stripped of charm. "I was wondering when you'd find this place." Noah backed up. "You followed me." Victor smiled without warmth. "No, you followed her." The shed suddenly felt too small. Victor stepped inside. "Do you know what Elena's problem was?"
She believed truth mattered more than power. That's a child's religion. Noah clenched the cufflink in his fist. "You killed her." Victor sighed. She slipped. "No." Victor moved closer. "She fought. That's different." The sentence hit Noah like a punch. Victor saw it. Saw the horror, the confirmation, the inherited fear. And his eyes changed. "You really do have pieces of her in you," he murmured. "That must be confusing." Noah lunged. Not smart, not planned, pure fury. Victor shoved him hard against the cabinet. Pain exploded through Noah's shoulder. The pills, the recovery, the still healing body, none of it cared that he had rage to spend. Victor pinned him there. "That heart doesn't make you her," he whispered. "And if you keep dragging my name through this, I'll bury you so gently people will thank me for attending." Then tires crunched outside. Marcus. He had tracked Noah's phone. Victor let go instantly and stepped back, composed again by the time Marcus burst in. "Noah?" Victor adjusted his coat. "Your friend seems unwell." Marcus looked from Noah's bruised shoulder to Victor's perfect expression and knew exactly what kind of man he was. That night, Noah finally told them the part he had hidden. Not the dreams, the guilt. "I'm scared this only matters because she died saving me," he said. "What if I fail her? What if all of this ends with him walking free and her heart trapped in someone too weak to carry it?" Teresa took his hand. Her face looked years older than when he first arrived, but steadier too. "You listen to me," she said. "My daughter is not trapped in you. She reached you. There's a difference." Ruby, eyes red and tired, nodded. "And if he did this to her, he almost got away with it because everybody trusted the version of him that performed best in public." She looked at Noah. "Let's ruin that version." Victor's campaign fundraiser was 2 nights later. Packed ballroom, cameras, donors, soft jazz.
smiles like weapons. Noah shouldn't have gone, which is why it worked. He walked in wearing a borrowed suit and the expression of a man who had nothing left to lose. Victor was on stage talking about resilience, community, love after tragedy. Noah wanted to laugh. Instead, he waited until the applause peaked. Then he stepped forward and said, loud enough for every microphone in the room to catch it, "What did Elena mean when she screamed that you touched the brakes before the turn?" The ballroom froze. Victor turned slowly. People murmured. Cameras shifted. Noah felt his heartbeat slam so hard it almost knocked the next memory loose by force. Rain. Seatbelt. Victor's hand leaving the wheel. "Elena accused you right before the car went into the lake," Noah said. "She told you she had proof. She told you she was done being afraid of you. And you looked at her and said, 'Then drown with it.'" Victor crossed the stage with controlled outrage. "This is harassment by a sick man exploiting a donor tragedy." He reached for Noah's arm, and Noah flinched exactly the way Elena had. Not backward, sideways, protecting the left side of his body. Her left side, the one Victor used to grab. Teresa saw it from the back of the room and shouted, "Don't you touch him!" Heads turned. Ruby stepped forward, holding the burner phone high. "My sister recorded you." The room exploded. Victor tried to snatch the phone. A detective, one Teresa had privately begged to attend, moved in with 2 officers. Victor laughed. Actually laughed. "An audio clip? A grieving family? A transplant patient with delusions? That's your case?" Noah looked at him and realized something terrifying. Victor still thought he was going to win. Then Marcus did the one thing nobody expected. He walked to the podium and plugged in a flash drive. Security camera footage. Not from the car. From a marina down the road. Marcus had spent 2 sleepless nights chasing a maintenance lead Noah mentioned from one of his episodes. A dock worker remembered Victor arriving drenched an hour after the crash, alone, demanding bolt cutters and claiming Elena had locked herself in the car. The marina camera captured him. And in the footage, Victor wasn't frantic. He was furious. Pacing. Dry under an umbrella. Not soaking from a rescue attempt. Noah saw the exact moment the room turned on him. You can feel power leave a man. It doesn't sound dramatic. It sounds like whispers. Like donors stepping back. Like one woman near the stage saying, "Oh my God." Victor's face changed at last. The performance finally died. He lunged for the exit. Police tackled him halfway down the aisle. People screamed. Glass shattered. Reporters ran forward. Flashbulbs burst like lightning. Public humiliation didn't redeem Elena. But for one brutal, necessary second, the man who had controlled her through fear lost all control in front of everyone he had lied to. And that mattered. It mattered because abusers survive on private shadows. He was arrested that night. The trial took months. Victor's lawyers tried everything. They attacked Elena's credibility, Noah's mental state, Teresa's grief, Ruby's memory. They called trauma unreliable and love distorting. But evidence piles up when fear stops silencing people. 2 former employees came forward. Then an ex-girlfriend. Then a mechanic testified Victor had asked about disabling brake response weeks before the crash, under the excuse of restoration work. The jury didn't need the impossible part. They only needed the human one. Victor was convicted of murder, fraud, and coercive control. When the sentence was read, Teresa closed her eyes and exhaled like she had been underwater for almost a year. Ruby cried into both hands. Noah just sat there, heart hammering, and waited for the feeling he thought would come. Relief. Peace. An ending. What came instead was grief. Deep. Quiet. Final. Because justice was not resurrection. Elena was still dead. Her baby was still gone. And Noah still had to wake up tomorrow in a world that had taken everything from her, except the one thing still beating in his chest. A week later, he went back to Teresa's house. No cameras, no reporters, no court clothes. Just coffee, marigolds blooming outside, and a box on the piano bench. Teresa pushed it toward him. Elena's journals. Noah stared. I can't take those. I'm not giving them away. Teresa smiled sadly. I'm sharing them. She wrote for people she loved when words were the only safe place left. I think maybe some of those words are for the part of her that reached you. Ruby sat cross-legged on the floor, no longer looking at Noah like an intruder. Also, she was messy, like dramatically messy. If you're carrying her heart, you deserve to know she once cried because she killed a cactus. Noah laughed. A real laugh this time. The kind that hurts a little because it has to move through scar tissue first. That night, he opened the first journal. Halfway through, a folded receipt fell out. There was a note on the back, in Elena's handwriting. To the man in the diner with tired eyes. I hope somebody gives you a second chance. You look like you've been apologizing for being alive. Noah stopped breathing. He remembered. Not much. A diner on a stormy afternoon. A woman offering him her booth because he looked pale. Her making a joke about hospital coffee tasting like burned regret. The softness of her voice when he admitted he was waiting for a transplant call that might never come. You're still here, she had told him, tapping the table once. That counts for something. He had smiled. Weakly. Briefly. Then his phone rang, and everything blurred. He never knew her name. She never knew that less than 24 hours later, her heart would save him. Noah cried until morning. Not because it was romantic. It wasn't. It was crueler than that. Two strangers met for 10 minutes in a diner, and one of them, unknowingly, became the other's second life. In the months that followed, Noah changed. Not magically. Healing isn't that cinematic. He still had hospital checkups, still had nightmares sometimes, still reached for his chest on bad days like he was making sure he hadn't imagined the whole story. But he started volunteering at a domestic violence shelter under a fake last name because he didn't want publicity. He fixed the piano key in Teresa's house. He took Ruby to the lake the first time she was brave enough to go back. And every year on Elena's birthday, they planted marigolds by the mailbox. On the first anniversary of the trial, Teresa asked him a question she had never said out loud before. Do you ever feel her now? Noah looked toward the garden. The wind moved through the flowers in loose waves of orange and gold. Not the way I used to, he said. Teresa nodded slowly, like she had expected that to hurt. But Noah smiled. Before, it felt like panic, like she was banging on the walls trying to get out. Now, he pressed a hand to his chest. Now it feels like she can finally rest without disappearing. Teresa's eyes filled,
but she smiled too. Later that evening, Noah stood alone at the edge of Blackwater Lake. The water was calm for once. No storm, no sirens, no unfinished sentence in the air. He thought about the impossible chain of things that had brought him there. A dying heart, a hidden key, a terrified woman who had the courage to leave clues in case love failed to protect her, and a stranger who woke up carrying more than blood and muscle in his chest. He whispered into the quiet, "You were right." The lake gave nothing back. Then again, maybe it already had. Because some people die and vanish, and some people leave with such force that even death can't stop the truth from finding a pulse. Noah stood there until the sky turned dark and the first stars opened above the water. Then he touched the scar down his chest and finally understood something Elena had been trying to say all along. A heart is not only what keeps you alive. Sometimes, if it belonged to someone brave enough, it comes back for the life that was stolen.